Article 1, Section 3, the Senate. So the Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state, chosen by the legislature thereof, for 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote. The part about the legislature choosing the Senate was original. The 17th Amendment changes that in 1913 from the legislature to the people. I believe the original intent was that the Senate should give the states a voice in the federal government. But then, in terms of expanding democracy, we give the vote of the senators to the people directly. And so we have the direct election of senators now. They serve for 6-year terms, and then it says each senator shall have 1 vote. That's not so much it's telling you that they don't have more than 1 vote each, but rather it's indicating that the states have 2 votes, 1 for each senator. See, under the Articles of Confederation, each state only had 1 vote, irregardless of how many representatives they had. So this is an indication that each senator will have 1 vote, and so the states will have 2 votes. Going on, it says, immediately after they shall be assembled in consequence of the first election, they shall be divided as equally as may be into 3 classes. The seats of the senators of the first class shall be vacated in the expiration of the 2nd year, of the 2nd class at the expiration of the 4th year, and of the 3rd class at the expiration of the 6th year, so that 1/3 may be chosen every 2nd year. The 3-class system, the way that they staggered that, has resulted in voters are not able to replace the entire Senate in 1 election year like they can the House. So again, in the teacup and saucer analogy, there is more stability in the Senate because the most that you could unelect would be 1/3 of the Senate. So it adds some stability. Another provision that has been included in that, but not expressly stated in the Constitution, is that the 2 senators from the states will be elected at different times. So they are offset by 2 years. It goes on, this part has been changed by the 17th Amendment as well, again because the state legislatures have no more say in the election or selection of senators. It says, and if vacancies happen by resignation or otherwise during the recess of the legislature of any state, the executive thereof may make temporary appointments until the next meeting of the legislature, which shall fill such vacancies. Now, because the state legislatures aren't involved, the governor has the opportunity to fill the vacancy. So in Arizona, Senator McCain passed away. So Arizona Governor Doug Ducey replaced John McCain with John Kyle to fill that Senate seat until they have a special election. Another example of this is not just death, but could be resignation, since you can't hold 2 offices at once. When Senator Obama was elected president, he had to resign his Senate seat, leaving the vacancy for Rod Blagojevich to fill. Unfortunately, Rod Blagojevich decided to fill that seat with the highest bidder and is now serving a prison term for corruption. I was in the State House of Illinois and asked the tour guide where the painting was of Rod Blagojevich, as it wasn't hanging in their Hall of Presidents, and it's probably something you're not supposed to ask the tour guide in the Capitol building of Illinois, but she said that the legislature had decided to decommission his painting because he left office in disgrace. Missouri has the distinction of electing a dead person to the Senate as well, and this was an interesting constitutional event. It was a sad thing. Back in the 90s, Mel Carnahan was running for Senate, and he died in a plane crash just a few weeks before the election without enough time to take his name off the ballot. So he ran, his name was still on the ballot, but the governor appointed his wife to fill the Senate seat. So it allows for that in those circumstances as well. Moving on. No person shall be a senator who shall not have attained to the age of 30 years and been 9 years a U.S. citizen, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of the state for which he shall be chosen. So we have here the list of qualifications. It does say we have a general population of senators that is about 80% male, 20% female. That is not representative of the nation. It's also much older, much whiter, and much wealthier than the nation as a whole. There's a symptom of 2 things. One, those are the people who run for office. The flip side of that, old white people make up the majority of the voting population as well. So we would see a shift in the demographics of our government if we were able to get more people out to vote from some of the communities that are underrepresented currently for whatever reasons. The Vice President of the United States shall be the President of the Senate, but shall have no vote unless they be equally divided. So he is just a tiebreaker. The Senate shall choose their other officers and also a president pro tempore in the absence of the vice president, which is most of the time. He's not going to show up unless it's a close vote. Vice President Mike Pence was present for the confirmation hearing of Education Secretary Betsy DeVos, and his vote was the tie-breaking vote that allowed her to become the Secretary of Education. It goes on, or when he shall exercise the office of President of the United States. So if he is the president, then he is no longer the vice president, and thus not the president of the Senate. The president pro tempore is then elected out of, or selected out of, the Senate numbers and chosen to lead the day-to-day operations of the Senate. Then the Senate has a special role in terms of impeachment. The Senate shall have the sole power to try all impeachments. When sitting for that purpose, they shall be on oath or affirmation. When the President of the United States is tried, the Chief Justice shall preside, and no other person shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of the members present. So the House brings the charges, which is impeachment. Then the trial is heard in the Senate. That is where they would have the evidence and the witnesses and the hearings and the testimonies and all of that. They would eventually take a vote. It requires 67 senators in order to convict in impeachment. Judgment in the case of impeachment shall not extend further than removal from office. So that is the punishment for conviction by the 67 senators. They are removed from office, and disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States. So that would be the end of their political career. But the party convicted shall nevertheless be liable and subject to indictment. Indictment is the regular criminal word that we use impeachment for. They are synonyms. Impeachment is particularly for executive and judicial branch officials. Indictment is for any old citizen who is suspected of committing a crime. So the president or whichever official would then be subject to indictment, trial, judgment, and then punishment according to the law if they went on to break any other laws, and if, unlike Nixon, they were left unpardoned by their vice president, who became the president. The concept of impeachment is a good illustration of the constitutional principles of checks and balances, that there is some oversight of the executive branch and the judicial branch by the legislative branch. It's also an example of the supremacy clause, that no government official is above the Constitution, is above the law. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and we are all subject to that, whether we be the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court or the President of the United States. We all fall under the authority of the Constitution and the laws of our government.